explain from a very layman's perspective what is the divine feminine and the divine masculine?
Again, I'm gonna, shy away from getting into textbook definitions, but one of the um the first thing that comes to my mind when you say divine feminine, and what I offer as what I like to offer clients, students in moon circles, um is just reclaiming the intuition. That's the first thing for me. The divine feminine is that voice that is guiding us. It's when I'm driving on the road, and uh the map is telling me to go right, but my inner GPS is telling me to go left. It's not, I mean, the intuition isn't always about prophecies कि अच्छा 5 साल के बाद ये होगा और आपको लड़का होगा. Like, okay, all of that sounds great in Bollywood movies, but it's this wild, powerful force that is guiding me on an everyday basis. It's what called you to connect to me and me to connect to both of you. You know, um. So I feel like the first, how do I say, the first task is to help people dissolve that barrier between them and their own power, because no one tells you you're powerful. Everything is designed to tell you that, listen, you're a dumb fuck, you don't know anything. Here is a system you need to follow. Here is a box you need to fit into, and anything beyond that, you can just cancel and forget about it. But sorry, you were saying.
It's like we have to snatch our power back, like, reclaim that back, that we have so much power, and we were just made to believe that, oh my god, you just have to follow
A
a
certain
circle, do 9 to
structure.
5, get married, have kids, blah blah blah. Like, that was the structure that we were supposed to follow.
And even when you're doing all this, you're still not good enough.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, there's always one more milestone, one more disappointment that you've. Um, but I mean, the intuition is understanding that everyone's journey is different. What's right for your journey is not what's right for my journey. What's right for my journey is not right for your journey. So, and well, so that's one part of it. I'm going to talk about the different conversations around the feminine that we have. So the intuitive, the mystical, the magical, all of that is one part of the conversation. And then sensuality, pleasure, that's another part of the conversation. I mean, even when you're talking about marriage and children, like we've begun to, not begun, we've been conditioned to see, um, intimacy as such a, I mean, in such a mechanical way, right? Bringing kids into the family, taking the lineage forward, but we're not taught that our pleasure is sacred in every way. And I'm not just talking about pleasure in terms of intimacy with yourself or your partner, but just pleasure like vicariously experiencing the world through your senses. Whereas like baking a chocolate cake for yourself, for your family, or you know I'm having fun with scents, making potions, adorning yourself. Like I find one of the most amazing and the most beautiful thing I find about Indian goddesses is like, have you seen them? Have you seen the amount of jewelry? Like, what is minimalism? I'm sorry, I'm not buying falling into this trap. And I mean, this whole like athleisure culture, I'm sorry, that's bullshit. Like, I want to be wearing like a layer of 12 necklaces and a crown and bangles around me. And crystals and tiaras and what. I'm sorry, go on.
uh we were discussing this in the morning only, that we love your vibe, the way you carry yourself, and we also love to dress up. I mean,
Hmm.
why why are there boring clothes everywhere now? Like, what is this? Like, wear a pair of tights and t-shirt and just go out. Like, I love wearing dresses,
Yeah.
she loves wearing dresses, we love to play dress up.
And I love to deck myself in color from top to bottom.
Absolutely.
I love that. Yeah.
I don't know, somehow something that you were mentioning, somehow the divine feminine, a concept that floats around, it is associated with weakness. That
Hmm.
how is femininity weakness? Like, just because someone is a female is weak? Like, I don't know why. Is there like a
Have you met Goddess Kali?
I mean, exactly. Hello, have you met Goddess Kali?
So yeah, I mean, I just reclaiming, adorning yourself, like learning to look at your own body as a temple, caring for it inside out, um, love, nurture, and that love and nurture that is, it's a privilege to love people and care for them in your life, but you have to learn to give it here first. You have to learn to replenish yourself, and I'm sure that as a mother, you agree and understand that on a very deep level. So these are some of the aspects of femininity I like to bring back into the conversation when I'm working with women, and not just women. I think even because irrespective of our gender, we all have a divine masculine and feminine. So art, music, just creating, using your hands. These are some of the things that let's bring it back. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
It definitely does. Also, Zora, you know, our society has been structured in such a way since such a long time that it is very patriarchal or very male dominant, or just go as per expectations. This structure, do you think this has made women into becoming hyper independent over time? Women have started thinking, yaar, inke bas ki baat nahi hai, I need to take matters in my own hand. Do you see that shift in the society for now?
Absolutely. I do feel, and I feel like that is also what is taking us away from our femininity. And while that's a larger conversation um about the ecosystem that we're born in, but I think softness is a strength. Not I think, I truly believe that softness is a strength. People who allow you to be soft, I mean, that's gold. And I encourage women, and I know that. I mean, I have dealt with hyper independence for years. And I'm sorry, but I'm bored and I'm unsubscribing to it.
I want to be home. I want to do nothing. I want to cook and I want to just nurture. Like, come on. What's wrong in that?
No, why even saying what's wrong? I mean, that sounds like the ideal life, right? Like big bread, big portions, grow beautiful.
Oh my god.
Yes, sit with your crystals and just enjoy the nature and the thing that we've come here for.
So I feel like we don't allow ourselves to be. Even our free days are like, I have to read 5 books, I have to catch up on this, and I have to. It's like be. Shanti se बैठ.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we are so deeply ingrained in waking up with a mental checklist कि आज ये करना है. So we are also over time unlearning that how to not do anything.
Yeah, I think slow mornings are an absolute must. They're the antidote because when you start your morning slow, when you give yourself that, vacuum or shunya space, you're able to declutter and set your intentions and move through the day. I feel like you can be very productive without being rushed. And that's an art. And I feel like my secret is slow mornings because when I'm really able to reset and, set the tone for the day. But coming back to your question about hyper independence, one of the things that I encourage women to do, and of course I understand that there's a lot of unlearning involved, is embrace their softer side and on micro levels allow yourself to start receiving. And even simple things like if I was sitting at a restaurant and the server would come and pour a glass of water, I would get so conscious. Like, why is somebody else doing that for me? Forget, I mean, small gestures like this would make me uncomfortable. You know, um, forget about the other things. So, I mean, it's a mundane example, but I'm saying you've got to start somewhere. Like allowing yourself to receive is not just in the macro level. Like getting you a little gift or cooking you a little meal and you accepting that with grace is a part of you learning to receive. And that's what, because we're not, we don't, I mean, loneliness is the real epidemic, right? Um, and we've come to believe that we need to have it all figured out, but we existed in joint families and tribes and communities. Everyone had a specific role, and I'm not even talking about gender here. I'm talking about everybody, irrespective of their gender, had a specific role, brought something to the table. Love, care, nurture, and we need to remember that we don't exist in isolation. We're part of a whole galaxy, and learning to receive and learning to soften is such an important part of feeling like we're woven into this tapestry. You know?
I couldn't agree more that you said that loneliness is a pandemic right now. And, so many of my single friends, they have chosen a very conscious lifestyle to be single and, just be by themselves and just have pets because they're like, we've been let down by men. Like, we had to shrink ourselves and we don't want to do that anymore. But I think that's sad on a certain level that you are just again functioning on your own hyper independence. Do you think it's sort of a trauma response?
It is, and it's not as simple as, okay, open yourself to love. And of course, I mean, when you have been let down, um I think the only advice is give yourself time to be, to breathe, to I mean that trauma is gonna take some time to heal, but don't let go on the idea of love.
I know, right? I mean, love is beautiful. It's the
Yes,
highest
that's.
frequency you can be in.
I think that's what we've come to Earth for, to love and to be loved.
To be loved. Yeah, absolutely. I many years ago, I mean, like sometime, like when I just began my spiritual journey, I remember I don't know, it's such a simple message, but I remember meditating and really asking the universe. I was like, but like, what is the point of all of this? And I saw Ganesha in my meditation saying that you are here to love and be loved. And I was like, I was hoping for a more profound answer. And I keep going back to that. It's so simple. And we really need to just remember that and move through life with that.
I think we always, Nimad and I, we talk that sometimes, when we waver left, right, and center, we always come back to this conclusion. The most spiritual thing you can do is just to be human.
Just to be human.
Absolutely. Just to be the most unique, the most magical version of you.
That's amazing. Zora, since you said that this is something that the relationship part is something that women should give some time to themselves to slowly ease into it, would you have a practical tip for all the women out there to reconnect with their feminine side?
Yeah, start listening to your intuition. Maintain a little journal, keep it by your bedside. Start jotting down. Your dreams are such a magical portal. Start jotting down what you see in your dreams, what your subconscious tells you. Note it down because those moments are so fleeting that they can just sort of slip into ether and you'll forget about them. But make a note of it, keep going back to it, and that'll strengthen your connection with your intuition, strengthen your connection with nature. I mean, she is called Mother Nature for a reason. Walk barefoot, even if you're living a very urban life. Maybe grow some plants, go for a walk in the park, walk in the beach. Make time to stay connected to nature. And I know that every city has to have a park. So, find what resonates with your frequency and make time to go there. Meet your girlfriends there, get a little picnic basket and sit there if that's what it takes to get, if snacks is what it takes to get you there. But spend time, in nature. Connect with your body, whether that is, going to, whether that's practicing yoga, dancing, moving, Pilates, because that is also such a deep and powerful way to reconnect with your womb, to connect with your feminine. Make art, adorn yourself, wear jewelry, wear pink. Like, hell yeah, wear lots of pink, bring it back. And just celebrate you, forget about the rules. Ask yourself, does it feel right? Does it feel authentic to me in that moment? And I think that is that is the best way to free your wild and divine feminine.
Wow, just love that.
We were already sold with all your practices. Now that you've prescribed girls' night, I am all the more sold.
And also shopping. We need to shop more.
I'm RSVPing to this and bringing all my crystals.
Like prescribed by Zora.
And
Let's do that.
dress code pink.
Okay, Zora, I would like to ask you, what does healthy masculine energy looks like according to you?
I feel like I'm not an expert on this subject, but if I had to keep it, to put it simply, they say that the feminine is fluid, and the masculine is like the structure, the support around it. So I feel like a healthy masculine is someone who's very grounded in their being, very anchored in their being, and not threatened, um, not someone who hold space for you to be you rather than suppressing you. Someone with whom you don't feel like you are shrinking yourself, but you feel like you can be more of yourself. You can bring more of your magic and your mysticism and your power to the table. I feel like that is a healthy masculine to be with and to be around.
I think like with someone who can, you can just drop your shoulders and be like, yeah, okay,
Please
I'm
take
calm.
over.
Yes. You can just molten lava.
Okay, so healthy masculine looks like chocolate molten lava cake.
No, no, when you can feel like molten lava.
When sorry, that's what I mean. When I feel
But I'm not talking about butterflies, okay? Because that's just your hormones messing with you.
amazing.
Yeah, but when you can truly feel like you can be soft, because we're all putting on an armor, right? When we're moving through the outside world. But when we feel like we can reclaim our softness and still feel like it's our strength, that's such a powerful place to be.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you, Zora. The conversation so far is just so beautiful, and it feels like we're actually flowing in the
Yeah, it's very
conversation.
fluid.
Yes, we're feeling very fluid.
I love that.
We've had some very interesting topics to talk about so far. Another topic which we were very interested to discuss was astrology. So, astrology is so deeply rooted in our culture, and it is widely fear based. And this has been our biggest question: why does our astrology always root everything in fear? Like bad timings, doshas, predictions that give you anxiety. ऐसा नहीं करोगे तो वैसा हो जाएगा. Why is it so fear based?
The science, so Jyotish essentially, it's if you understand the word, it's illumination, it's Jyot, right? So it's actually it's like such a divine and sacred knowledge. I think the problem is the way that the charts are interpreted. Um, one of the things I like to say is, if you've seen the yin and yang symbol, right? There is a little bit of the black in the white and a little dot of the white and the black. And it's like when we understand that duality is way of life on earth, there is always going to be darkness, there's always going to be light, and it's all happening together. So the idea that bura samay chal raha hai ya acha samay chal raha hai is so um I don't prescribe to that. There are certain planets that um help you grow through ease, and then there are some that are helping you grow through lessons. It's just different pathways, and there is never a time in your life that there are only bad things happening. There are silver linings. There is a little dot of white in that black. And again, it's like, what is that alchemizing within me? Where is that taking me? I mean, most of the time, we're just what we call as bad times is times that we're burning karmic baggage, you know? So, is that really a bad thing, or is the universe helping us lighten the load and move ahead in our karmic journey? Move closer to liberation. I mean, that's how I see it. So, I just wish that there were more, and I believe that. Why do I say wish? I believe that in this day and age, that in spite all of that, um, in spite of all that darkness, there are new age practitioners, healers, readers, tarot readers, intuitive guides who are able to help you um understand your chart, understand your soul's journey, your Akashic records from that perspective, from that higher perspective, rather than using fear based methods to keep you. Look, it's simply put, astrology is not the problem. The way that it's interpreted is the problem. And it's about going to, it's, well, my philosophy in a reading is empower. It's as simple as that. So choose readers who make you feel empowered rather than keep you stuck in a loop of fear. It's as simple as that.
That is so true. Like how you said that you believe that there are so many people out there who are interpreting it in a better way now. I think सबका ही एक permanent कोई family ज्योतिषी या astrologer होता है. Until the world of social media, we had no idea that there was an alternate or positive side to astrology. We believe that astrology is a science for sure, But the way that these local or maybe these age old astrologers tell us things, it just makes us, run for the hills that everything is going wrong in my life. It's beautiful how you said that we're actually reducing some karmic baggage with that wrong timing. Thanks for putting that out there too.
Absolutely. And there are no bad planets.
Yeah, there are no bad planets. I love planets. I love them.
I love that. I mean, especially like I love Saturn.
She was waiting for you to say that.
Wise guide. He's a teacher. He will never deny. He will never deny.
Couldn't agree
We were
more.
talking about Saturn and Moon before we started shooting with you today.
I have no idea. Like I connect with Saturn so much. I find it so fascinating. बारे में इतना कुछ नहीं पता, but I've always been drawn towards Saturn. I don't know.
There's a book on Saturn that I will share with you because I also felt like as I was reading and I was studying, I was like, I'm not understanding why people have this sort of misconception, and my curiosity to understand this energy better, they say benevolent planets and malefic planets, and they call Saturn a malefic planet, and I couldn't disagree more. And I'll share this book title with you for you to understand the power of Saturn. I mean, really, I'm in awe. I'm humbled.
We'll definitely even recommend it to our
We'll
audience.
put that in the link as well. It would be amazing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Also Zora, like you mentioned, all these sciences like astrology, numerology, and tarot, can they help us decode like our soul's blueprint or our soul's purpose or our soul's journey?
Absolutely. That is definitely the approach that I like to take in my readings, which is understanding the blueprint. Like we spoke right in the beginning, these are certain predestined events, but within that, how can I navigate? How can I make better choices? And making people aware of their free will and their choices is also such an important part of the practice, and that is something that I like to follow.
And is it again everything that is written in the stars? Is that final, or do we have free will to change it?
Again, depends on your level of awareness, and they say that through a lot of sadhana we can change with sadhana and grace, nothing without grace.
Wow, wonderful.
So, you know what, Zora? This question is on our mind all the time. We as humans, we are always chasing this question: what is the purpose of life? Like, हम क्यों हैं यहाँ पे? What are we doing? What, according to you, is the purpose, and why do we need to find it? What is this quest? And even if we find purpose, is it going to make any sense at the end?
One of the things that I believe is, um, I mean, as a kid who is, faced a fair share of existential crisis and wondering about galaxies and aliens and the mundaneness of human life, I would say that now like to see purpose as the journey rather than the destination, which means that yes, we all have a purpose, but we always think of purpose as something larger than life. But yes, being of service is purpose is a part of somebody's purpose, but for somebody else it could be experiencing motherhood, experiencing parenthood. For somebody else it could be learning to unlock their creative potential, sharing their artistic gifts with the world. For somebody else it could be experiencing expansiveness, and maybe they've chosen to be travelers. So I don't, and of course, I mean, to love and be loved, I feel like I truly believe is the core purpose. But we've all come to experience different things on this journey and have different experiences. And again, like it's not just about pleasure, right? Even experiencing sadness and grief and suffering and failure is also a part of that journey, right? And then there is the meaning that we add to things, right? And that is also very much a part of the purpose. Like a special place or a relationship, like what the two of you share with each other. I mean, the meaning that we insert to people, to places, to relationships is also what makes our life more meaningful.
Beautiful. I mean, that's the most profound answer I've ever heard someone describing what is purpose.
I'm going to sleep on that. Purpose is
A
also a journey.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Because if we look at it as arriving at this one point, like this one award that I will get at the age of 55, like, what the hell were you doing all of these other years? Whereas I see, yeah, I mean, part of that unfolding, right? Maybe today it's to create art, tomorrow it's to create music, and then, or I'm finding purpose through nurturing someone, or having children, or the possibilities are endless. And can I find purpose in every one of those seemingly mundane tasks?
That was wonderful. Thank you for that insight, Zora. With each guest, we learn so much, and it just keeps on, the level keeps on increasing, and we get so much to think and talk about. So after the podcast, then Nanki and me, we have another podcast. We have learned so far. Yeah, the BTS podcast. So beautiful. So we are coming towards the close of today's session.
So, where can we send our audience and to connect with you with the wonderful, wonderful work that you do?
My Instagram and my website, I'm available for, like I said, one-on-one session. If you'd like to host me in your city for a workshop, for a retreat, or invite me for a festival, I'm always ready and happy to contribute in the best way I can.
So we'll mention your Instagram handle in the description box below.
Perfect. And my website, if you can, I'll share the link.
Your website as well. Perfect. So that is us for the day, Zora. Thank you.
Lovely. This was so heartwarming. I'm feeling so grateful for both of you.
If this conversation resonated with you, we would love for you to subscribe to our channel.
It's free and it helps us bring such amazing conversations for you guys.
Until next time, this is Sood Sisters signing off. Goodbye. Stay Sood.